Hi golfers, thanks for your interest in the Perfectstroke standard putting training aid. My name is Mark Officer, the designer, and if you're watching this video, you're seriously interested in improving your putting. So this training aid will help you with your face aim at address, your face angle at impact, your stroke path direction, your face angle relative to path, your impact spot and your timing. These are major factors in determining how well you putt on the golf course. So if you use the training aid diligently and conscientiously, I am sure that you'll improve your putting stroke no end. Now I'd like to show you how to put it together and also demonstrate some of the ways that you can use it. The Perfectstroke putting aid comes in with its own travel bag, so this bag can fit into your golf bag at a side pocket or down inside the internal part of the bag, or this can easily fit into a suitcase as well. So we'll just go through some of the components. So that's just a guide for how to put it together there. We've got carbon fibre plain rail. We've got an aim strip that goes over the top of the ball and over the top of the putter face. And here we have two brackets. So one is a base bracket and the other one is a bracket that helps position the aim strip above the ball. So two different types of brackets there. And then we've got our base. So the base is what the base bracket's attached to, and it's reflective, so you can actually see your shoulders in the reflection at address to ensure that they're square. So we'll go ahead and take these cap screws out of the base and put in the first base bracket. So there's no need for any tools when you're putting together the Perfectstroke. All the cap screws, wing nuts, just tighten by hand. So we'll just set the Perfectstroke up at the moment in the most basic fashion. So that is where you've got the base and the base brackets attached, and then you simply have the carbon fibre plain rail attached to the base brackets. So we're just going to set this up in the most basic manner firstly. So this is where you've just got the base brackets attached to the base, and we're attaching the carbon fibre plain rail to the base brackets right at the very top. So it's going to be used as a plain training aid solely. It's we're not going to have the alignment strip attached, so it's not necessarily going to give you feedback on your face angle at address, but this is a great setup for perhaps kids and for beginners to get an understanding of the fact that the shaft actually travels straight back and straight through, but because of the shaft angle, it's going to make the club head swing up and inside a little bit on the backstroke, and the same thing on the forward stroke, up and in a little bit, and the face is going to be rotating slightly open, slightly closed on the forward stroke. For a start, we're just trying to learn to set up somewhere near parallel with the base, so that's feet should be the same distance away from the base. We're trying to get our shoulders aligned square so we can see that in the reflective base, and we're trying to get this putter face to be an extension of the white line here in the centre of the base. And if we are actually set up parallel to the target line, then I can use that somewhat as a way of aiming the putter face. So we're just going to run that shaft along that rail and hopefully keep it in contact the whole time. You notice that if you go outside on the backswing, the shaft is going to come off the rail. If you're applying too much pressure and you go inside, you're actually going to move the training aid a little bit, and vice versa on the follow through. If you knock the training aid to the left, then you're applying too much pressure and doing a cut stroke on the forward stroke. So just really lightly running that shaft along the rail. Hopefully, well, perhaps it feels a lot different to what you normally do. But you're right, you want to do some practice strokes in between, maybe continuous strokes, maybe individual ones, and perhaps you're also getting used to how much backswing and how much through swing you're trying to do. And there's A couple of schools of thought about whether or not you should be matching the backswing and through swing, but so now we're doing the standard setup for the Perfectstroke putting aid, where we have the slot bracket go on top of the base bracket. Usually you're going to have this so that it goes on from this way. You put the wing nut on the inside, tighten that up, okay, and then do the other one. So you're using the small cap screw going through the top hole in the slot bracket, going through the top hole in the base bracket. The wing nut goes then on the inside, finger tighten that. Best idea is to attach the alignment strip first, and then that gets pulled tight in position when we attach the carbon fibre plane rail. So now what we're going to do is, with the aim strip, this goes underneath the slot bracket, and then our cap screw goes in from the top, and that is then what helps secure that in position and gives us the ability to slide through that range of positions depending on the putter that's being used, the lie angle of the putter, the design of the putter, and perhaps the setup position of the player. And now we'll finish off the standard setup. So that is now attaching the carbon fibre plane rail, so that's going on the far side of the base bracket, and we've got a thumb screw that tightens that up and puts that in position. So do that on the other end as well. And meet the thread of the carbon fibre plane rail. Okay, firm that up, and we're going to have a situation now where the plane rail is exactly parallel to the base, and we also want a situation where the aim strip is absolutely parallel to the carbon fibre rail. So we should have a situation where you can just change this position of the aim strip relative to where your lie angle of your putter sits, and you'll have the these cap screws exactly in the same position on the corresponding ends on the corresponding slot brackets. So that is your setup for the standard Perfectstroke putting training aid. When you first start doing some practice with the Perfectstroke standard putting aid, what you should be doing is, really lightly resting that shaft on the plane rail. This is after you've established exactly where the aim strip needs to be for your lie angle putter and for your posture position, in order to have this exactly on the target line, directly over the target line. Hopefully then you're also going to have your eyes somewhere near directly over the target line as well, so that then when you look down at your putter, if you've got a line on your putter at all in the sweet spot, you're going to be able to see that in this case with this aim strip, that the line on your putter becomes an extension of the aim strip line. So then you can accurately get that putter face aimed squarely at address. Then you're going to need to start off doing some practice strokes along the plane rail as lightly as you possibly can. Then you need to be doing some practice on the underneath side of the plane rail, at least in your practice strokes. So really lightly running the shaft along that rail again, and sometimes you can do continuous strokes like I'm doing here, and sometimes do individual strokes. So if you're in a start position in your posture, hopefully you've got a fairly straight line between your arms and your shaft here. You've got your eyes over the board, you've got your feet parallel, and we're in a reasonably straight back position. And then we've got some connection between arms and body. And then you move that putter back and through with arms and shoulders, right? No wrist action. And that's going to mean that if the shaft remains on the plane rail, the head itself is going to swing up and inside a little bit. So you're going to see any line on your putter in the sweet spot just come fractionally inside on the backstroke, return back to the same position it started at address, and then come inside again on the forward stroke. So lots of practice strokes either side of the plane rail, then you can start hitting some putts. And when you start hitting putts, you don't necessarily have to aim at a target. Just get used to rolling the ball out of the device itself. But if you are aiming at a target, it's nice if the ball actually hits the target, whether or not that's a hole or a fake cup or a glass, whatever it is. Hopefully you're going to be able to see if the ball starts on line and stays on line the whole time, depending on how straight your surface is. So the base of the Perfectstroke actually has some small holes where you can put a tee in to anchor when you're out on the practice putting green. So there's actually 3 small anchor holes there, and this is going to mean you can at least keep the training aid in exactly the same position all the time when you're putting, but you need to make sure that you're running that shaft really lightly along the plane rail. If you're a player that has a tendency of going outside on the backswing, I would definitely recommend doing lots of practice with the shaft on the outside of the rail. Vice versa, if you're someone who goes to the inside on the backswing, I would set it up with the alignment strip as well, so that you're resting the shaft on the underneath side of the rail. So then you're going to feel like the putt is more in front of you. If you go inside, the shaft's actually going to come off the rail. So you definitely want to be running the shaft on either side of that rail, at least in practice strokes, if not mixing it up, and then really lightly running the shaft along the rail when you actually hit your putts. In this setup, I've actually got the aim strip moved a little bit along on the slot bracket, so that in the address position I don't have the shaft touching the plane rail. So I'm using all the benefits of the aim strip here, but in the stroke I don't want to have the putter shaft touch the plane rail. So if you notice that you touch the rail on the backstroke, you know you've gone to the inside, touch it on the forward stroke, you've gone outside in on the forward stroke, so you're cutting across. So this is the next step up. I just felt like it touched the plane rail on the backstroke, going slightly inside. But we know the biggest influence on direction is actually face angle, so I must have come back with a pretty good face angle at impact. So this is really important practice to be able to do these strokes without touching the plane rail. Again, I just touched it a tiny bit on the backstroke, which is my tendency. Next step is remove the plane rail altogether. I think this is one of the best ways to practice on the practice putting green. So here I've removed the plane rail and I'm just using the aim strip and the shoulder alignment in the reflection there to give me my feedback on whether or not I'm set up correctly. Then hopefully I can make a stroke where the shaft stays on plane. Putt head swing slightly inside, backstroke slightly inside, forward stroke, face remains square to the path, and we return the putter face back to square at impact. And then we're going to be able to start the ball on line, hopefully make the putt, or at least give ourselves the best chance of making the putt. maybe a bit outside in the backstroke there, I felt that. So this is going to give you a great deal of confidence when you can get on the practice putting green and make putt after putt, knowing that you're set up correctly, knowing that you've got good eye position, good shoulder alignment, face angle good at address. You can start the ball on line, then you're going to give yourself a great chance of being able to hold putts out on the golf course. Traction in the toe, that's perfect. You can see how important face angle at impact is on being able to get that ball to start on line. One of the huge advantages of practicing with the Perfectstroke standard or premium putting training aid is that you can easily adapt to breaking putts. So you're making the same stroke mechanics with any of the putts that you're practicing with this training tool, but because we've got this alignment strip in position, it's just a matter of aiming the device directly at your selected target line. In this case, I'm aiming about 6 degrees to the right, or just under a foot to the right, and then I can make my exact same stroke mechanics as I would as though it was a straight putt. This also teaches you how much putts actually break when you're using this training tool. So you can see if the ball starts on line or if it starts right or left.